our virtual worship experience. We welcome you in to worship with us today. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. For the Lord is great and He is greatly to be praised. Come on, let's enter into worship today. Let's get right into it wherever you are. Come on, put your worship clothes on. Get your kid, get your man, get ready to go into church. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. You are mindful of me. God, you hear me when I call. Is it true that you are thinking of me? How you love me? It's amazing. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. He calls me friend. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. He calls me friend. When I that you it's amazing. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. He calls me friend. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. He calls me friend. I am a friend of God. He calls me friend. You know, my favorite part of that song is it says, "Who am I that thou art mindful of me?" That you are thinking of me and that you call me friend. I don't know about you, but I'm not worthy today to be a friend of God. I'm not even worthy sometimes to be a friend of man, but God thinks about me, makes plans for me. He is mindful of me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He is thinking about what's best for me and what's going on with me. Friend, listen, it is so wonderful to be worship on today. Next Sunday, we'll be back for virtual worship. The first Sunday in September, we will resume our drive-in worship service. Second Sunday in September, we will be celebrating my pastoral anniversary. We're going to do a drive-in style, just a little different, but we're going to celebrate just the same, the fact that the Lord has kept us and kept us together. Listen, let's get ready to transition to our time of giving this week. Because of the gifts that you sow in Greater Joy, how faithful you are, we're able to give a blessing to 160 employees at Murdoch Center at 14 different cottages that are essential workers that are working literally day and night to make sure that those in our community who need that extra assistance are taken care of. And it was a blessing that we were able to go out and to bless so many. And to those of you at Murdoch Center, we pray that it was a blessing to you. And it all goes back to the work of the kingdom that the gifts are able to make sure that we are able to complete. So if you want to give, you can give via PayPal at greaterjoybutner@gmail.com. That's greaterjoybutner@gmail.com. Or you can give via Cash App at $GJ Butner. Listen, take just about a minute and a half to switch over to one of those apps to give while our awesome musicians play for just a couple of moments. For your consistent, for your liberal, for your cheerful, and your generous giving. Listen, let's get ready to go into praise and worship. You all know I say this every single Sunday, but this is a moment for you to commune with God, to enter into the Holy of Holies, to have a conversation with Him, to empty out your heart and all of the things that you've had to carry all week long. Listen, this is the moment for that. So get in your bathroom, go sit in your car, whatever you got to do so that you can focus. You need this time to strengthen you and get you ready for this next week. Let's get ready to worship. I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord, with a heart of thanksgiving. I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord. with a heart of thanksgiving. I bless thee, O Lord. I bless thee, O Lord. I bless thee, O Lord. With a heart of thanksgiving. I will bless thee, O Lord. With my hands lifted up, and my heart filled with praise. With a heart of thanksgiving. I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord. With a heart of thanksgiving. I will bless thee, O with a heart of thanksgiving. I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord, you are good, and so good. Lord, you are good. You've been better than good. I can't praise you enough. I owe you my life. I can't praise you enough. Even if I try, 'cause you've been so good. So Lord, you are good, and so good. Lord, you are good. You've been better than good. I can't praise you enough. I owe you my life. I can't praise you enough. Even if I try, Lord, you are good. You've been so good. Lord, you are good. You've been better than good. I can't praise you. I owe you my life. I owe you my life. I can't praise you enough. Even if I try, you've been so good, so good. So many roads you walk, so many ways you make, so many times you build me. So many doors you open, so many ways you make, so many times you build me. So many doors you open. If you gotta be thankful for, I tell you to listen. Come on, I tell you to give him some glory. I tell you to bless his name. It says what the Bible said, he kept you in the midst of it. He kept your family in the midst of it. He kept you in the midst of it. He kept you safe in the midst of it. I don't know what you're saying, but he kept you alive in the midst of this. He kept your children in the midst of this. I need you to listen. I need you to give him glory. Yeah, if he kept your job in the midst of this, if he kept your home in the midst of this, I will bless it. I will bless it. Oh, I got a heart full of thanksgiving. Full of thanksgiving. Let's go to the book of Judges. Yeah. That's pretty. Yeah, Judges. I'm in the Message Bible today, chapter 15, beginning at verse 11. Judges, chapter 15, verse 11. I'm going to skip through a little bit, as usual, tell the story to make sure that we can understand what's going on. Judges 15:11 says, 3 companies of men from Judah went down to the cave at Edom Rock and said to Samson, don't you realize that the Philistines already bully and lord it over us? So what's going on with you making things even worse? And Samson said, it was tit for tat. I only did to them what they did to me. Verse 14 says, as he approached Lehi, the Philistines came to meet him, shouting in triumph. And then the Spirit of God came on him with great power. This is Samson. And the ropes on his arms fell apart like flax on fire, and the thongs slipped off of his hands. He spotted a fresh donkey jawbone, reached down and grabbed it, and with it killed the whole company. Verse 18 said, now he was suddenly very thirsty. He called out to the Lord, you have given your servant this great victory. Are you going to abandon me to die of thirst and fall into the hands of the uncircumcised? So God split open the rock basin in Lehi. Water gushed out and Samson drank. His spirit revived. He was alive again. That's why it's called in Hakor, Caller's Spring. It's still there in Lehi today. Samson went on and judged Israel for 20 years in the days of the Philistines. Come on, somebody, and capture this for me. Somebody repeat after me and say, fading after the fight. Fading after the fight. I don't care what anybody says. 2020 has been nothing but a fight. And I know it's only August and we still have a whole quarter of a year to go, but baby, let me just testify for me and just about everybody else that I know. This most recent season has truly been a battle to remember. I know things ebb and flow, and I know that some of us are doing better than others. I know that we are all grateful for how God has kept us up until this very second. We just sang about that. But the truth of the matter is that I know that people can understand me when I say that this year has brought some battles to the table that I have never seen before. We've had to fight COVID-19. We've had to fight social distancing, and we've had to fight work and school from home, and we've had to fight living in the midst of a pandemic. We've had to fight for bleach, and we've had to fight for hand sanitizer. We've had to fight for Lysol, and we've had to fight for toilet tissue. Am I the only one who's been fighting lately? We've had to fight mandatory shutdowns, and we've had to fight community curfews. We've had to fight grocery store rationing, and we've had to fight conflicting expert opinions. We've had to fight we've had to fight police brutality, and we've had to fight systemic injustice. We've had to fight structural hurdles, and we've had to fight overt bigotry. I think I'll pick that scab a little deeper. We've had to fight racist glass ceilings, and we've had to fight corporate microaggressions. We've had to fight community redlining, and we've had to fight unsubstantiated stereotypes. Yes, yeah. We've had to fight healthcare inequities, voting suppression, Oval Office buffoonery, and senatorial yes men. I'm wondering if anybody has been in a fight with skyrocketing unemployment, lack of affordable housing, essential work requirements, and virtual education disparities. And to top it all off, nobody has been arrested for killing Breonna Taylor. I'm just wondering if there's anybody that would give me a good amen when I say one more time that 2020 has been a fight. Yeah. Now, let me clarify my argument. I'm not saying that it's been all about defeat. No, I said it's been a fight. Right. Because amid all of the fighting we've done, we've also been in some victories. Toilet paper is back in good rotation. And Ben and Jerry's turned out to be as wonderful as I thought they were. Gregory and Travis McMichael were arrested for killing Ahmaud Arbery. And the president has finally figured out how to wear a mask. There have been some victories in the fight. Takeout once again has become available, and pollution levels have dropped significantly. D-Nice hosted free dance parties, and the versus battles have brought us so much joy. And we got the first female vice presidential nominee of color. TikTok has kept us entertained. Netflix finally revived Black culture series staples, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg has made it through. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. We have had some victories in the battle. Let me see if I can bring it a little closer to home. We've had to fight, but our children have been kept safe. We've had to fight, but our minds are still mostly intact. We've had to fight, but we did not succumb to the pressure all around us. We've had to fight, but we're all here alive and mostly well. But with the victories and with the defeats, with the battles, has come a price. This war has been hard to withstand. This battle has taken a toll on all of us. And I came to ask the question today: what do we do when we find ourselves burnt out from the battle? Is it anybody burnt out from the battle? Yeah, ain't no harm to admit it, because this fight has been rough. Is there anybody burnt out from the battle? Anybody withering after the war? Anybody that says, I'm still standing, weapons ready, but I must be honest, this last season of fighting was not easy for me. If you know what I'm talking about, then I need you to respond and say, the fight took something out of me. Yeah, I came to talk to some soldiers today that have not and will not quit, but you're beginning to feel the after effects of the fight. I came to encourage some folks that will war until the war is over, but you can tell that it's taking its toll. I want to just help some warriors that have given almost all that they got. I came to preach to some folks that might be fading from the fight. And here are some things to remember when your strength is almost gone. Here are some things to hold on to when you're just about to lose your grasp. I need you to remember, first of all, that you are not rejected even if your motives were not pure. That's right. Every fight is not a wholesome fight. Like Samson, some fights we fight because we make a choice to fight based on our emotions, our associations, and our own agendas. So often I found myself not fighting for the wrong things, but for the wrong reasons. The Philistines were the enemies of God's people. Samson should have been fighting them. They were unjustly and unfairly ruling over God's people. Samson should have been fighting them. Yeah. They should never have been in a position of authority over the people of God. Samson should have been fighting them. Yeah. But Samson was fighting them not because of their specific transgression towards God's people, but because of their transgressions towards him as an individual. That's right. Not because they were fundamentally wrong in what they were doing. There was nothing wrong with the fight, but there was an underlying issue with Samson's motives. Yeah. And he said it right there in the text himself. He said it was tit for tat. I only did to them what they did to me. He wasn't mad because they transgressed against God or God's people. Samson was mad because they took his money and his honey. And this is a message for the people of God today. No matter how heinous the offense against us, no matter how wrong the other wrong was, no matter how unjust the injustice is, we must continually examine ourselves to ensure that we're always fighting for what's right and not just for release. You see, when we fight for relief, we want to salve for our pride. When we fight for release, we want to inflict pain to match our own. When we fight for a release, we bring destruction without prejudice. But because it feels good when we lash out, does not mean that what we did was right. Yeah. So before we act, before we retaliate, before we develop our plans, we've got to self-evaluate and say, am I fighting this fight because it's right? Or am I fighting this fight because I need a release? So I need somebody to get your current fight on your mind. And I need you to ask yourselves this question. Is it right? Or do I just need a release? Is it a good fight? Or do I just want to get them? Does it really matter? Or am I just mad? Do I want to make a difference? Or do I just want to take them down? Because the last thing I need added to my record is an unrighteous war. The last thing that I need on my plate is a skirmish that wasn't in service to my covenant with God. What I do not need is to be embattled because of my emotions. I refuse to fight anymore unless I know the fight is right. But here's what I love about God, because when I'm like Samson, even when my agenda is wrong, and even when I get completely out of pocket, even when I have strayed from my underlying Christian values, God never. I said, God He never rejects me. When I begin to fade after the fight, even when my motives were not pure, when my methods were harsh, when I went a little bit too far, God never turns his back on me when he sees me starting to fade. And this is my first encouragement for you today, beloved. I need you to know that you are not rejected. You are not rebuffed. You are not turned away just because your motives were not pure. I know emotion got in the way, and I know past hurt made you vengeful. I know that stress has hardened your heart, but you are never rejected by God. Come on, somebody, and repeat after me. This is just my testimony if it ain't yours. And say, I'm a wreck, but I'm not rejected. Yeah, I know somebody else feels like you are really a mess right now besides me. And so I need you to say it. I'm a wreck, but I'm not rejected. I went too far, but I'm not rejected. I shouldn't have done it at all, but I'm not rejected. My hands are not unbloodied, but I'm not rejected. My body count is real high, but I am not rejected. I shouldn't have said what I said, but I'm not rejected. I should not have posted what I posted, but I am not rejected. I know I owe quite a bit of restitution, but I am not rejected. tell God thank you. If he was still there for you after you engaged in private warfare, it didn't have nothing to do with God. It didn't have anything to do with what was right. I need somebody that's like me that ever went to war in a private war. I need some folks that went hard in the wrong like me and say he still owed me after I acted up. Can I get somebody to tell God thank you? If he still called you his own after you cut the fool, can I get somebody to give God one good amen? If he still called you his friend, if he should have been ashamed of what you did, somebody open up your mouth and say, fading from the fight. Yeah, we're not rejected just because our motives for the fight were not pure. Secondly, when we're fading from the fight, we can take courage because we are not unworthy because of our dependence on dead stuff. We're not unworthy because of our dependence on dead stuff. Here's what I need you to know about Samson. Samson was a Nazarite. And this was a special distinction indicating that he was set aside for God. He was in a special covenant with God. And as a part of that Nazarite vow, Samson was not supposed to come into contact with anything that was dead. Now, remember from the story, it says that he used the jawbone of a donkey to kill all of those Philistines. And not only does it say that it was a jawbone, but it said it was a fresh jawbone, meaning it was one from an animal that was recently dead. And by using and relying on that bone as a weapon, Samson was violating the covenant between him and God. That's right, that's right. What was the problem with that? What was wrong with what Samson did? Well, Samson knew that he already had God on his side. He knew that he could rely on God to give him the victory. But the dead thing was right there. Yeah. It was just hanging around. It was easy to pick up and to use. Even though he knew that he should be faithful to his covenant and rely on God instead, he picked up something that he knew he had no business depending on in his fight. But before we judge Samson too harshly, is that not what we do? Yeah. Don't we always deal with the dead stuff? Yeah. Don't we always go back to old reliable stuff that we know should have been dead to us long ago? Old habits, old relationship, old ways of thinking, old attitudes, not because we don't know that God can do a new thing. Not because we don't know that God will give us victory without it, but because that old stuff keeps laying around. It's easy to pick it up again. Can I just get one person that will keep it 100 with me today and say the old way is sometimes the easy way? I didn't do it because I was true to it. I did it because I was used to it. But God is so good to me that even when I fall back into my old habits, even when I put my hands right back on that same dead stuff that he told me not to touch no more, he never declares me unworthy based on the dead stuff in my life. And when I began to fade after the fight with the stench of that dead stuff all over me, God never turns his back on me, and he never treats me less than he did before. Can I tell you why I love him? Because even when I backtrack, God always takes me back. Even when I slide back to my past, God always takes me back. Even when I stumble back to where I came from, God always takes me back. He is the God of my decay. He is the God of my decomposition. He is the God of my decline. He is the God of my rotten ways. Is there anybody were filthy and stinking. And God still looked at you just like you were worth a cattle on 1,000. Do I have somebody like me that came in stinking, that came in worn out, that came in looking like the streets, and God still took you in and made you feel like you were somebody? If that's your testimony, I dare you to lift up your hands and say, God, I thank you for still being my Savior, even in my stench. God, I thank you for still being my Savior, even in my stench. I need some folks out there that ain't lived a perfect life. I need some people out there that played around on the dead side of town. I need some people out there that know what it's like to stumble and fall. To say, God, I thank you, because even in my stench, even in my filthiness, when I put my hand in death's mouth, you still treated me like I was bad. I'm here for the folks today whose motives have not been pure. I'm here for the folks today that have a tendency to play with dead stuff. And I'm here for just one more group, Danielle. The people that understand that you are not weak for admitting your humanity. Because even with all the mischief, Samson had to stop it when he suddenly got thirsty. As strong as he was, as clever as he was, as notorious as he was, even Samson had to succumb to the reality that he was only human. And I gotta speak to the folks today that are in the swirl of the pandemic, that are in the thick of homeschooling, that are in the stress from work from home, that are in the rage of injustice, that are in the uncertainty of unemployment, that are in the desperation of loneliness, that are in the frustration of sickness, that are in the weight of depression. And I just want to remind you today that every one of us must face the reality of humanity. And we are not weak just because we got to stop every now and again. All of us have human frailty that will cause us to fade after we've been in the fight. But I got just one more encouragement for you. Even if your motives were not pure and you've been fighting a private war, even if you picked up some dead stuff that God told you you did not need, even if you feel yourself falling apart after your last battle, I need somebody to know that there's still a spring that can revive you. There's a spring available that can put you back together again. There's a spring that will give you strength to fight another day. And it's a spring like Samson's spring that he called in Hathor. And it's the color spring. Because when you need refreshing, when you need uplifting, when you need reviving, somebody say, oh, all you have to do, all you have to do is call it. Samson called on God when he got thirsty for his fight. And a spring sprung up there where he was. And I just suits me just fine. Because that tells me that when I need a spring, I don't have to talk just right. When I need a spring, I don't have to know all the church tonight. Somebody say, all I gotta do is call. So if you're under the sound of my voice and you need God to give you a spring to be able to make it through this week, then I dare you just to open up your mouth and say, I call forth my spring. I'm calling on the one that never rejected me. I'm calling on the one that never said I was unworthy. I call forth my spring. God, I'm getting a little weak. I'm getting a little worn. In a hard fight. It's been a long journey. And I find myself getting a little faded from the fight. So I don't know the proper way, but I call forth my spring. I call forth my revival. I call forth my rejuvenation. Somebody say, God, I'm calling for my spring. I got much more fight in me. I got much more power in me. But if you revive me, I can fight another day. I call forth my spring. I call forth my power. I call forth my authority. I call forth my promise. I call forth my rejuvenation. I call forth my destiny. I call forth my purpose. Somebody say, I'm calling for my spring. Somebody say, I'm calling for my spring. Spring it up, God, in the midst of my valley. I know I haven't done right. I know I haven't kept my promises. But I promise you I'll fight. I'll fight for you, Lord. Just one more time. But I'm gonna need a spring. I'm gonna need a little push. I'm gonna need a little more power. I'm gonna need a ruach. I'm gonna need a fresh wind. Somebody say I'm calling for my spring. I'm not thirsty for the things of this world, but I thirst for you, God. I thirst for more of your presence. And if you come in and deliver my spring, I promise you that when the enemy confronts me the next time, I'll use my power to give you the victory. Somebody has struggled all week long. Somebody barely got up this morning. Somebody has got tears right now. But don't you dare stop fighting. Don't you dare lay down and die. Open up your mouth and call for your spring. There is a well that never runs dry. There is a fountain that always flows. Somebody say, I call for my spring. I call for my spring. I believe I feel my spring. I believe I feel my power. I believe I feel my revival. So I dare you to call. Somebody say, I call for my spring. I believe my spring on Monday. I got some mess going on Wednesday. By the time I get to Friday, I believe the last drop of my spring. Somebody say, I call for my spring. And when I call him, he always answers. When I call him, he always comes. a little bit more joy. I need a little bit more peace. And I know I ain't worthy, but I call on my spring. I need a calmer spring, not a pure spring, not a righteous spring. I just need a calmer spring that says when I call in, they'll sing me a spring. I call on my spring. I call on my spring. God, I need you to fill me up again. God, I need you to give me hope again. God, I need you to clear the wall again. I call for my spring. Not my mama's spring. It's the Paula spring. Not my daddy's spring. It's the Paula spring. Not my sister's spring. It's the Paula spring. I call and as far as I know, nobody drew from that spring till Samson did. That's right. There is power. There is restoration. Yeah. There is revival. Yeah. There is strengthening. It's just waiting on you. Oh my God. To tap into it. Maybe God created a spring in that moment. Maybe the spring was there all the time, waiting to be revealed. Yeah. But this I do know. Yeah. It was the color's spring. It was the color's spring. And the color wasn't right. That's right. The collar wasn't worthy. Yeah, one word. The collar wasn't like some of us try to pretend like we're saying now have been. The collar, that we've never been mad. The collar wasn't even right then. He came with spring. When he saw that he was faded. Somebody under the sound of my voice is out there pretending like you're not faded. Stop pretending. Start calling. Stop acting like everything is okay. Start calling. Call for your spring. That's all you need to get back on track. Woo! I'm just messed up right now because I know what it is to have to call for a call of spring in the midst of a fight that I never should have been in. I know what it's like to have to call on God. You know that your hands are moving. And I know what it's like to still have him answer. That's right. He shouldn't answer. That's why now I'm growing to understand that every time I start to fade from the fight, I just call him. I've been dirtier before and it came. I've been more messed up before and it came. Call him. Do you hear me, baby? Call him. Call for your spring. Because God knows exactly what you need in your life. The doors of the church are open. If there's somebody here today that wants to give your life to Christ, call your spring. Raise your hand. Type in the comments. Say, I want to give my life to the Lord. I know I haven't been right, but I want to get right. Call forth your spring. If there's someone here today, like Samson and like me, and you knew better, you knew what you promised the Lord, you made a covenant with him, and then strayed, ringing. And God still answered when you called. I'm ringing. Come. This is your moment. This is your time to call forth your spring. It doesn't matter what you did after you left God. It doesn't matter. People will have you to believe that God is up there keeping them this. It doesn't matter. He's not Santa Claus. He's not keeping them in shade and fire. He just wants you to come back, call forth your spring. And the last appeal is for somebody that's looking for a church home. Somebody that says, you know what? I need to get around some other folks that understand what it's like to have your motives not be what they're supposed to be. That know what it's like to fall back into some dead stuff. I need to become aligned with some folks that understand that we are all human. And that does not make us weak. Come. The doors of the church are open. Wherever you are, come. This is your moment. Type it in there. Let somebody see it. Let the enemy see it. Yeah. Make a declaration today. Yeah. This is what I love about God. This right here. He is mine and I am his. It doesn't matter what I did, 'cause he only sees me for who I am. 'Cause he saw the best in me when everyone else around could only see the worst in me. Yeah, that's why I love him, because I got a Samson in me. Anybody else got a Samson in you? They can say he saw the best in me. He saw the best in me. Yeah. When everyone else around could only see the worst in me. Yeah. This is my testimony right here. This is my favorite part when I get to say this. He is mine and I am his. It doesn't matter what I did. He only sees me for who I am. Yeah, I'm gonna say that one more time, Michael. He is mine, I am his. It doesn't matter what I did. He always sees me for who I am. Yes, he saw the best. He saw the best in me. When everyone else around could only see the worst in me. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he saw the best in me. Did he see the best in any Samson out there like me? Yeah. He saw the best in me. When everyone else around could only see the worst in me. Listen, as you go into this week right here, understanding that every day we must be working to align ourselves with the Word of God. Understanding that we must keep our commitment to God. Understanding that we should be getting better every day. But you are still human. We all have frailties. We all do some stuff that should render us unworthy. Yeah, we all do some stuff that is not on God's agenda, but on our own agenda. But let me tell you this right here before I let you go for the week. If you get in trouble, you still call him. If you get weak and you're about to fade and you think the enemy is going to overtake you, you call him. Call forth your spring. Call on your God and he'll show up. Be dismissed. I love you. Have an awesome week this week. He saw the best.